Today, I thought it'd be fun to do a little mid year review and not the kind that's sort of bummerish, like, why haven't I done anything this year? But rather a mid year review that would spark some joy, something that Marie Kondo would be proud of. And the whole idea being that we're just going to look at everything that we've done and accomplished so far this year and ask ourselves, does this spark joy? And if it doesn't, off it goes. And those things that do spark joy, they get to stay right here. By the way, look at this little candle that my girlfriend sent me for my birthday. It says homesick for Toronto, which I am. It's supposed to smell like Toronto. I don't know that this smells like Toronto. So here's the thing. I think a mid-year review is great for just sort of touching base on where you are and where you want to go, progress that you've made on goals that maybe you have set previously or not. Maybe your desires have changed. Maybe the things that you aspired to at the beginning of the year no longer make sense for you. So with that context in mind, and given that we are now halfway through 2023, and by the way, am I the only one who's freaking out about the fact that we're halfway through 2023? Whoa. But I digress. Given that we are here, I think it is a great time to grab your favorite beverage and perhaps your favorite candle and sit down with a notebook. Or if you really want to get into this, I have created a fun little template. It's totally free. It's listed below where you can do a mid-year review based on the questions that I'm going to ask you in this video. So let's get to it. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Karen McGill. I am an ADHD coach and creator, and I'm here for the busy, ambitious brains that want to get schnizzle done, but they can't remember what it was because they haven't looked at their goals lately. And we're going to resolve that in this video. So let's get to it. So let's start this off with the assumption that you set some sort of goal or aspiration, or you had some vision or idea for yourself for what you were going to accomplish or do this year. Now, I have been coaching ADHD adults for 2 years now. And the one thing that I see to be common amongst most of us is that we want to do stuff. We want to make something of our lives. But the problem is that we don't touch down to a tangible idea either clearly enough or for long enough to actually make progress on it. So very often we will spend time crafting a goal, maybe planning it out, putting in a beautiful journal or whatever, putting it on our schedule. And then we completely forget about it because that's just kind of what we do. Zero judgment there. So if that is the case for you, first know that you are not alone. I know it's very frustrating. And I know that inside, you have a ton of potential, but you don't feel that it's actually going anywhere because you just can't make yourself do the thing or you forget about the thing. Whatever the case is for you, the first step is self-awareness and understanding where you're getting in your own way. And only you can answer that question. You know when you're going through this elaborate planning process that you love to do, whether or not you're actually going to do the things you're putting down in your plan. Because sometimes our aspirations are way bigger than what we can realistically do in a manner of time or with the skills and resources that we have. So if that's you and you tend to get caught up with big dreams and elaborate plans that completely overwhelm you to the point where you do nothing, then you need to start a lot smaller. Or if you're one of those folks that plans things, but then when it comes time to do it, you don't feel like it, then you want to question, why are you developing these goals in the first place? Is it something that you want? Or is it something that you think you should want, or that other people want for you, or that you think the world expects of you? Here's what I know is true for ADHDers, and I've said this before, and as we're saying again, our brains do what they want to do. They follow an interest. They don't follow what other people are interested in having for us. So if you're setting goals that don't align with what you truly want, you will either struggle to get where you want and feel tremendous disappointment when you get there, or you will fall short of actually executing on it every single time. And then you will make that mean something about yourself, like you're somebody who never follows through or that you can't do things. Where are you going in life? I know all of those stories, but that is head trash. And it's a narrative that you're telling yourself because you're trying to go after something that you don't really want. And in the last scenario that I mentioned, that perhaps you make a bunch of plans, but then you forget that you have a calendar, that is a lifestyle design issue. And we can absolutely adjust for that as well. But with all of those ideas in mind, let's look at where we are now and assume that at the top of the year, there was something that you wanted to do for yourself. Did you want to change jobs or lose weight, find a partner, move to a different area of the country? What did you want for yourself this year? Where are you in relation to that goal? You are ahead of where you thought you'd be or behind is all just data and information. You don't need to shame spiral around that. My goal this year was to make six figures in passive revenue in my business. So I have a coaching business, then trying to build up this passive revenue piece of my business where I don't have to trade dollar for hour in every area of my business. If I want to make six figures or a minimum of 100,000 this year in passive revenue, I should be somewhere around 50,000, maybe 40,000, maybe 60,000, but somewhere around that. Am I there? Absolutely not. I think I'm probably somewhere around 20 to 30,000. So I am making progress, but I'm not making the progress I thought that I would make. Now, I could make that mean something about myself, like I'm a lousy entrepreneur, or I can look at the reality of the situation. I set this goal at the top of the year. It's a goal that I've never done before. I don't really have a lot of experience building a business with passive revenue. I had some experience, but not a lot. So at the top of the year, I created what we call projection in the business sphere, but really what it is a made up number. And six figures sounded really nice. So I thought, let's just go for that. And ultimately, I would like to get to six figures because that's going to enable me to get a lot more honed in and focused on my actual one on one coaching. So while I still want that goal to happen and I'm still very much committed to it, what I didn't realize was how long it was going to take me to build up the assets that would generate that kind of revenue. I had never done it before. So I made a projection and that was my best guess. So even though I'm not where I thought I would be at mid year, I'm still moving forward. And if I have to adjust the goalposts, maybe it takes me 18 months to get to six figures in revenue. Maybe it takes me 3 years. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to keep moving towards that goal because that goal is very important to me. I'm going to keep going for it. And when I hit it, you guys will be the first to know about it. So coming back to your goal, where are you on the trajectory of this year? And think about what truly got in your way. And without any shame or story, write down what you think your biggest roadblocks were. And based on whatever you come up with, how can you do things differently in the second half of the year in order to get a different result? Because you know what they say, the definition of anxiety, the definition of anxiety. You know what they say, the definition of, what is the definition? Oh, you know what they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So here's what I'm doing differently in the second half of this year. I joined a coaching program that is somewhat designed specifically for that, to take service-based businesses and move them into asynchronous revenue so that you can free up more time. And I gotta say, the program I joined is exactly what I needed. It's not an ADHD specific program, but I have never come across a coaching program that is more ADHD friendly. So if you are a fellow entrepreneur and you are looking for a fun environment to actually learn how to build passive revenue in your business, I will link these guys below. I digress. Let's get back to your goals. Okay, now we're going to wrap up the reflection of this year by doing a wheel of life exercise. Now, this is a tool that a lot of life coaches use, and it's actually really helpful for understanding where you are in your life and measuring it from period to period. So in this case, we're going to do half years, but you could do this every quarter if you wanted to, or every month. Basically, the life wheel represents all of the major areas in your life. So friends, family, work, money, all of those things. Take a minute to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 each area of your life in terms of happiness and fulfillment. So a 10 out of 10 is the best possible score, and a 1 out of 10 is a score that I hope that you don't have on your life wheel. And once you've got that filled out, you have a good indication of what's going super well in your life or what areas need a little bit of help. And again, as you're looking at this, I don't want you to make up a story about it. I don't want you to have any shame about the areas of your life that are falling short, in your opinion. Because here's the reality. Nobody's life wheel is 10 out of 10 in every domain. It can't possibly be 10 out of 10 all the time in all areas of our lives. And I would go as far as to say that if you were scoring yourself 10 out of 10 in every domain of life, then you're either delusional, lying to yourself, or not paying attention to the exercise. So respect the fact that we're going to go through seasons and ebbs and flow in our life. And it's more important that you're aware of this than getting a perfect score. So once you have that score, let's start projecting it into the rest of our 2023 year in terms of, first of all, asking yourself what matters most. As you look at your scores, it may not be perfect. It might be far from perfect, but you may think to yourself, in this season of life, this is where it needs to be. So based on your life wheel, what's most important for you in terms of the next 3 to 6 months? Is there an area of your life wheel that you want to focus more on? And is there an area of your life wheel that you can go into coast mode on? Only you can answer those questions. But the first question I ask you is, what is most important in this season of life? And does it align with the goal that you have for yourself this year? And if not, then maybe it's time to readjust. Now, once you're clear on all of that, the next thing you want to do is anticipate any issues that might come up in terms of what's most important and what you want to accomplish. So if you, for example, if you look at your wheel of life and you realize you're spending all your time with family and none with friends, then maybe you need to anticipate that if you switch your time and focus, then somebody might be wondering what's going on. So you want to anticipate how other people in the world around you are going to react to what you think is most important and have conversations as needed, but just be aware that things are going to come up. And when life throws you a crap sandwich, which it will, because it does all the time, you know that you can pivot because you've anticipated things that might get in the way. The next thing I want you to give some time to think about is your personal and professional development plan and your fun development plan. This is a thing that I tend to put on the back burner, but I know that if I don't plan fun, if I don't think about it and actively plan things on my calendar to get me out of work mode, then my brain tends to fry and my creativity suffers, my productivity suffers. So I know how important fun is to me. Fun means different things to other people, but for you, what is fun and what do you have on the docket for the next 6 months? I hope you've got something on there. The next thing we need to consider are what books you want to read. Is there any courses you want to take? And do you have any courses that you bought earlier in the year that need to get finished? And I know you procrastinators have a ton of courses that are just sitting there collecting dust. Now is time to start thinking about that and anything else you want to add to your learning or professional development or personal and spiritual development in the second half of this year. And once you have all of that, now it's time to actually put it into a plan. Now, if you are not a planner, let this be the inspiration you need to start planning. Maybe it's something super simple, like a calendar, or maybe it's something super elaborate, like my Notion template, which is designed specifically for ADHDers to help them get to know themselves better and plan their lives accordingly. But no matter what it is, whatever system you use, just make sure it is something that you are going to adopt on the regular so you don't forget about your goals and start plotting your priorities into whatever system you're using. And the final thing that I want you to do, just for schnizzles and giggles, is to write out 2 or 3 things that you would love to manifest in the next half of this year. Now, even if you're not somebody who's into the woo, this can just be fun. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. You don't need to plan it or prioritize it, but it's nice to be able to look internally at what's on your heart right now that you would love to see happen, even though you don't have the time or resources or a plan for it. So 2 or 3 things that you would love to manifest, just write down a sentence or two of, wouldn't it be awesome if, and then whatever floats your boat to complete that sentence. I think that's always an important thing when you're thinking about planning. And on that note, you should have a pretty good indication of what you're going to be spending your time, energy, and resources on in the second half of this year. So that's super high level. Again, there's a template below if you want to use it. If you want more support in terms of productivity and understanding what matters and getting really super clear on your goals, then you might want to look at my program, Distraction to Action, which is available below. And again, I also mentioned my Vision to Action template, which is Notion-based. So if you don't know Notion, this might not be the planner for you, but I have found it so helpful to use this process in my own life, and it helps me stay on track with my goals. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.